St. Louis Cardinals have a two-game set in Kansas City. Who should we be keeping our eyes on these next two games as the Cardinals look for a clean sweep of the I-70 series? They've won the first two. Now they move over to Kansas City to try to win the next two. Looking at what offensive players can break out, as well as the pitching matchups. What can Dakota Hudson and Adam Wainwright do to remain successful? And we close the show by having a bit of a tough conversation and talking about Andrew Knizner versus Yadier Molina. Should Kisner be the full-time catcher? We'll talk about that on today's episode of Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Cardinals podcast for Tuesday, May the 3rd of 2022. Thank you for tuning in today, each and every day that you tune in, making Locked On Cardinals your first listen of the day. Hope you're doing well on this Tuesday. A little bit of rain, a little bit of cloud cover in the area today here in Columbia, Missouri, but from wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, hope it's a great day for you and hope that we can make it even better with today's discussion here on Locked On Cardinals. Got a lot to talk about. Cardinals have a two-game set with Kansas City, but I talked about yesterday treating it almost like a three-game set with them playing Kansas City in St. Louis yesterday. But regardless of how you want to look at it, they have a chance to sweep the I-70 series. They swept the Royals in their two-game series at home, despite one of them being played in the first week of the season, the other one being played yesterday. And now the Cardinals have a chance to pull off a sweep at Kansas City as well. And they have a really good chance to do so for a couple different reasons. Talked about it yesterday with the pitching lining up, with the offense possibly getting into it. But we're going to look at what offensive players, need to start getting going just because it's time, and also who actually might be getting going because of the matchups, right? So today's game starting at 7:10 tonight. Tomorrow's got moved up to a 12:10 start for those of you who missed it. So tomorrow will be a 12:10 first pitch on Wednesday between the Cardinals and the Royals. So be on the lookout for that. But a two-game set, Dakota Hudson getting the ball tonight for the St. Louis Cardinals against Brad Keller. Adam Wainwright gets the ball for the Cardinals tomorrow. But offensively speaking, it's been kind of a hit or miss year so far for the St. Louis Cardinals. I talked about this yesterday, that the strength has absolutely, been the pitching for this team. 100%, no doubt about it. The pitching has been the backbone of this team. The pitching is, in large part, the reason the Cardinals stand at 13-9, a game and a half out of the first place Milwaukee Brewers. They have a 4-game advantage on the Cubs. They have a 4-game advantage on the Pirates, and they have a 9-game advantage on the Reds, maybe 10, depending on how the half works out there. Not too sure, but nevertheless, the Reds are 3-19. That's all I know. So pitching is the reason the Cardinals find themselves in a playoff spot right now. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But offensively speaking, it is time for some players to simply get it going. Key hitters to watch for a couple different reasons. The three that I'm going to talk about: Paul DeJong, Harrison Bader, Dylan Carlson. These three, O'Neill as well, but these three I'm going to highlight today because it's time. All four of these hitters that I just mentioned, Bader, DeJong, Carlson, O'Neill, they all need to get it going. It's really the outfield and Paul DeJong that need to get it going. Goldschmidt a little bit, catching. We'll talk about that in the third segment, having a tough conversation on Kisner versus Yadi. But these three, it's time. And we're starting to see some good signs for all these hitters. DeJong had a nice double on Sunday. Carlson had a nice, clean double yesterday. Yesterday or Sunday, I forget which day it was. Bader had the incredible moment on Sunday when he hit the big home run against a righty. It was a fastball, but it was with 2 strikes. So they all have some positives to work from. And they have some room to grow, right? They have things to do, and they have things to really be impressed with going forward to this series. A couple of them do. Harrison Bader against Keller is just 1 of 10. Carlson's just 1 of 4. DeJong has some good numbers against Keller. DeJong is 3 for 8 against Brad Keller, the starter tonight for the Kansas City Royals. So we'll see if he's able to ride that hot hand. In terms of the starting lineup for the St. Louis Cardinals tonight, because it has been released already, Tommy Edman gets the leadoff spot at second base. Paul Goldschmidt starts at first. O'Neill again in left. Arenado at first. Albert will get the DH tonight against Brad Keller. We'll likely also see Pujols tomorrow with the lefty on the mound. Harrison Bader in center. Molina at catching. Paul DeJong hitting 8th at shortstop. And Dylan Carlson slides all the way down to number 9. So you see that the performances of these players is dropping them in the lineup. Two of the players that I'm talking about are hitting 8 and 9 today, respectively, and Paul DeJong and Dylan Carlson. Harrison Bader hitting 6th, and then O'Neill still hitting 3rd. But my eyes are going to be on these players this week, especially this series, because the Giants are an awfully good baseball team. Awfully good. The Cardinals have a 4-game set with San Francisco this weekend. You want to be at your best when you're facing the best. Teams like Kansas City, yeah, you've got to beat them because they're not a playoff team. They're playing pretty poor baseball right now. So the Cardinals need to beat them just simply because the Royals are bad. Simple. The Giants need to be ready to play some of your best baseball, right? So the offensive players that I've talked about here, it's time to get it going. Use the positives that you've been able to accumulate over the last 3, 4, 5 days, maybe not even that much, right? And see if you can't get a little momentum going in your season. Because, yeah, Monday was a rough day for the entire Cardinal offense. Let's just look at these players that I'm talking about right now. Harrison Bader went 0 for 4 with a punch out. Tyler O'Neill went 0 for 3 with a punch out. Paul DeJong went 0 for 3 as well. Struggled yesterday. The entire offense really does. The Cardinals were only able to muster 4 hits. The 1 run coming on a Paul Goldschmidt home run in the first. It's time to see if this offense can start clicking. We're in May, so you know Goldschmidt's going to start heating up. Nolan Arenado is coming off Player of the Month award honor, which he hadn't won, I think, since 2017, if I remember correctly, with the Colorado Rockies. So those 2 players are going to continue to hit. Tommy Edman has done a fine job at the top of the lineup spot this season. Done a fine job really wherever he's been hitting this year. So those are kind of the 3 guys that you feel pretty good about going into this season, because in 72 at-bats so far, Edman's hitting .306. He's got 3 home runs. 2 of those came in back-to-back days. Has drove it in 11, got 5 stolen bases and OPS at .891. Average and OPS well above his career norms. In his last 7 games, he's hitting .292 with an on-base of .414. Doesn't slug very much recently, just .333, but he swiped 4 bags in those 7 games, 4 of his 5 on the season. So those 3 you feel pretty good about. Now it's time to get either DeJong going or start making a decision, although they're starting to get impatient with him. You could kind of sense comments made by John Mozeliak that needs to start producing. Ali Marmar made comments about the bullpen and that the reason that players are getting sent down is because of performance, not because of options. Paul DeJong's performance might cause him to go down. He's got good numbers against Keller, like I mentioned. Keller's an awfully good pitcher, so we'll see if DeJong's able to keep those numbers up tonight. You've got Bader, who is just 1 of 10 against Keller that I mentioned. So he might not get. These are the names that I'm looking for. That's the bottom line. These players have to get going for this offense to be successful. A good offense is not just your top 3 players hitting. And you really have O'Neill that's not hitting as your 3rd. So really is your 1st or 2nd and your 4th place hitter that are hitting right now for St. Louis. This offense has the capability to be a really deep lineup. Because if DeJong's hitting, you have protection in the 6th spot. If Bader's hitting, you have an option at the top. You have some thump at the bottom. Speed all around. You have Carlson's hitting, same thing. You've got options at the top, options in the middle, maybe more so for Carlson, probably a little bit more power than Bader. You still got the speed. When O'Neill's hitting, that is just a deep lineup. O'Neill had a great year last year. Maybe he's pressing a little bit. But the names that I'm looking for to get it going this week against Kansas City, Paul DeJong, Harrison Bader, Dylan Carlson. DeJong, because of his numbers against Keller tonight. Carlson and Bader because they mash lefties. And the Royals have a lefty going on the mound tomorrow for the 12-10 start. So we'll likely see both of them in the lineup tomorrow, barring any injury or anything of that nature, and Chris Bubik. And he's also 0-2 with a 10.5 ERA through 12 innings pitched. It is past time that these offensive players start getting it going, because we're in May now. We're over a month into this season, 13-9, so 22 games, into the season, and some of these players just simply aren't hitting yet. Simple. and they need to start hitting. So let me know what you think. Do you think any of these players get it going this weekend? Do you think no players get it going this weekend? Is there somebody you're watching this week, or I say weekend? Is there somebody that you're watching this week that I didn't mention that you want me to watch? Obviously, I'm watching every player, but I'm going to be keen in on those at-bats to see if the Cardinals can actually find some success with those players. So we'll see what that brings. But the strength of this team, like I mentioned, has been the pitching. So we're going to talk about some pitching because the Cardinals have a really good, strong arm tonight and an arm that needs to get it going as well tomorrow, but somebody that I don't tend to bet against. So talking about pitching coming up here in just a moment, but with spring in the air, it's a time of renewal and growth, both personally and professionally. And as your small business grows, LinkedIn Jobs is here to make it easier to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. You can create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Then you can add your job to the purple hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring so your network can help you find the right people to hire. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experiences so you can quickly prioritize who you like to interview and then who you like to hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs as the number one delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. And did you know that every week, nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonmlb. That's linkedin.com/lockedonmlb to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Basketball season is heating up as we are getting into playoffs as well as NHL playoffs. Baseball's in full swing. And for all the latest sports developments, league reviews, news, including all the sports I just mentioned and more, BetOnline is where you want to go because betonline.net is your number one source for all of your betting stats and sports info. It's your continued source for all of your sport wagering information, all of it, whether you want to do live betting, playoffs, esports, and much, much more. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and actions. BetOnline, it's where the game starts. Dakota Hudson gets the ball for the St. Louis Cardinals tonight as he looks to hopefully continue a stretch that has been pretty successful for him and for the St. Louis Cardinals as well. And before I get going into that, I want to thank you again for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Now podcast. They have recaps of MLB games with analysis from our local experts, taking fans through the season like no other network. No other network does this, guys. Locked On Now, like genuinely. No other network does what we're doing here. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Dakota Hudson coming in tonight. He's 2-1 with a 2.75 ERA. Somebody that has just been really good in his first full season since 2019, but 2020. Last season he pitched before he got Tommy John. 4 starts, 19 2/3 of an innings pitched. Like I said, 2.75 ERA. Just 14 punch outs, but his whip is at an astounding 1.02. He's coming off a 6 inning of shutout baseball against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Before that, he was 6 2/3 of scoreless baseball against the Cincinnati Reds. 2 really good starts for Dakota Hudson, and he has some pretty good success against some individuals in this Royals lineup. Dozier's 1 for 5. Nicky Lopez, 1 for 6. Whit Merrifield is 3 out of 9. But for Dakota Hudson, it is simply keep improving, keep moving forward. Because the one knock on Dakota Hudson this year, in my opinion, despite the success, despite him shutting up the haters, for lack of a better phrase, has been the walks. His last 3 starts, he walked 2 players in a 3-inning outing against the Milwaukee Brewers. In the last 2 shutout performances, he still walked 4 batters in 6 2/3 against the Reds, and he still walked 3 batters against the Arizona Diamondbacks. The reason I'm not overly concerned with it is because he does have the ability to get a ground ball almost whenever he wants. However, even with that skill set that Dakota Hudson has, even with that positive that Dakota Hudson has about getting a ground ball, getting the ability to get a double play, get out of the inning, and to get multiple outs on one pitch. That's an ability that Dakota Hudson has, and it's a remarkable ability. As baseball fans know, as anybody who watches baseball knows, not all ground balls turn into outs. Sometimes a ground ball just goes one way or the other. There's an error behind you, or it just finds a hole. So sometimes ground ball pitchers get in trouble because ground balls just find holes some days, right? So Dakota Hudson has been able to minimize the hits. I mean, he gave up 2 hits in 6 2/3 against the Reds and 1 hit in 6 innings against Arizona. So he's minimizing hits, and a lot of that probably has to do with the shifts and analytics and positioning, all this stuff outside of the general skill set of Dakota Hudson. But all this to be said is that Dakota Hudson, the next step for him in terms of being just utterly dominant and not just really good, is minimizing the walks. Minimizing the walks. His ERA, like I said, sits pretty solid. His whip is pretty solid, but he does have those 9 walks in that 19 and 2/3 of an innings pitched. Minimize the walks. That is what I'm going to be looking for tonight. If he can get out of there with only walking 2, hopefully walking none, but 0 to 2 walks, 5 to 7 innings for Dakota Hudson, that's a win. That is an absolute win. Because you're likely going to see, you could likely see Gio tonight. He's likely going to be available, even though he pitched yesterday, even though he's really good when he's rested and not pitching back-to-back days. You're probably going to see Helsley. He's probably going to be available. You're going to have a decently rested bullpen, all things considered, especially with Matt's going the 6 innings that he went yesterday, because those that pitched yesterday include Cody Whitley, Nick Whitgren, and Giovanni Gallegos. Whitgren pitched on back-to-back days. You're likely not going to see him. Whitley, you could see. Whitley only threw 17 pitches, so maybe not. But bottom line, 5 to 7 innings, for Dakota Hudson should be the goal tonight. He's got the stuff to do it. He really does. I've always been a big Dakota Hudson fan. The only time I wasn't a big Dakota Hudson fan is whenever I thought he should have stayed in the bullpen. But he has proven me wrong tenfold. The fact that he should and belongs in the rotation. Now it's just a matter of, okay, you've done it through your first 4 turns through the rotation. You've done it through the first month. Build that consistency and go from here. Now, if he gets lit up tonight, that does not mean my confidence just automatically drops to 0. That does not mean, no. What it does mean is that it's a long season. These bad starts will happen. These bad starts have been happening, unfortunately, for the Cardinals starter tomorrow in Adam Wainwright. He's 2-3 with a 4 ERA so far, and really has yet to just, outside of opening day against the Pittsburgh Pirates, he's yet to have just a really dominant, no problems start. They had a good start against Miami as well, don't get me wrong, when he went 5 2/3, gave up an earned run. But his last 2 starts, he went 5 innings against the Reds, 8 hits, 4 earned. He walked 3, struck out 3. And then against the Diamondbacks, he ended up turning it into a quality start somehow. He went 6 innings, gave up just 3 earned runs. I'm not a huge fan of the quality start stat, for those of you who don't know. But he struck out 4 and walked 5. Adam Wainwright knows that he needs to be better. He knows that he needs to be able to pinpoint a little bit more. So for Wainwright, it is trying to just simply find it. And again, if Adam Wainwright for the rest of the season pitches to a 4 ERA, is that the end of the world? Well, no. But the only way that Adam Wainwright is going to be able to pitch to a 4 ERA as a 40-year-old, and this rotation will still be successful, is only if we see Dakota Hudson, Miles Michaelis, and Steven Matz continue to step up, and if we see Jack Flaherty come back and be the ace that he's able to do so. Because last year, if Adam Wainwright pitched to a 4 ERA as a 39-year-old, that would have been a huge problem for this team, because this team did not have a very solid rotation from start to finish last year. Wainwright was the ace of the staff when Flaherty went down. So if Wainwright is going to be able to be your 3, 4, 5 guy in a rotation because of the age, because the ability is wavering, then that's fine. But you need to have other guys step up. So with the way the rotation is shaping out now and the success the rotation is seeing right now, it's not the end of the world that he's pitching to a 4 ERA. If he goes 6 innings, gives up 3 runs every time, that's 4.5 ERA, so that would be a little tall. But the point is that this rotation right now, as we sit here on May 3rd, 2022, within the last turn or 2 through the rotations, the Cardinals rotation has been very good. But Wainwright, the competitive nature in him and in general, just needs to be better, and I think he's going to find it eventually. Again, I'm really looking forward to his next start, hopefully at home, because he tends to pitch better at home, but he is back on the road today against Kansas City, tomorrow. But in terms of numbers against Wainwright, some success, some not success. Brian Dozier's 3 of 8. Nicky Lopez just 2 of 12. Whit Merrifield is 5 of 16, so that is some pretty good success. Ryan O'Hearn is 5 out of 9 with a home run against him. Salvi Perez, 3 out of 14 with an RBI. 3 out of 8. Now, my handwriting was really bad on that note, so I apologize for that. So some good, some not so good against Wainwright. Again, find the edges. Trust the stuff, and trust your defense. Can't be walking 5. That's one thing that no matter what the rotation's like, no matter what Wainwright's role is, he could not be walking 5 guys in a start. Plain and simple. So we'll see if Adam Wainwright is able to bounce back against really not that strong of an offense in Kansas City. At least they haven't shown to be that strong of an offense for the Kansas City Royals. So those are the pitching matchups. We've talked about the offensive numbers that we're looking for. Yadier Molina is getting the start tonight. He is all but guaranteed to get the start tomorrow with Adam Wainwright. And then I would imagine he gets an off day on Thursday with, he'll be playing back-to-back days, day game after a night game today. I would imagine he gets an off day Thursday, especially traveling to San Francisco. I would imagine Andrew Knizner gets the start on Thursday. Andrew Kisner versus Yadier Molina is an interesting discussion. It's one that it's going to be tough to have just because I love Yadi so much. But we are going to compare and ask the question, should Kisner be getting a majority of the starts? Should he be getting more starts than he's getting? We'll talk about that in the final segment of today as we try to finish up today's show. But before we do, I want to tell you that today's episode is brought to you in part by Rock Auto, because with the ever-increasing numbers of makes and models, it's almost impossible for your local chain auto parts store to find all the parts you need. So why endure often pointless or seemingly intimidating questioning and wait while the person behind the counter orders the parts from their computer or their system, choosing only the brand that their warehouse happens to carry? You have computers with access to rockauto.com at home, as well as on your smartphone on the go. You can save time and money when using Rock Auto. It's a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. Their prices are always reliably low for each and every single customer. They have everything you could need: brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, even new carpet. So go explore that easy-to-use website today to find the solution to your auto part needs. Go to rockauto.com right now. Right now. Why wait? Right now. See all the parts available for your car or truck, and be sure to write Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box so they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com. Yadier Molina has been the full-time catcher for the St. Louis Cardinals since 2005. Broke into the league in 2004 when Mike Matheny was still here. Yadier Molina this season has played in 14 games. Andrew Knizner has played in 12. Started in 9. Yadier Molina is 10 for 48 with 2 runs scored, a double. He has a stolen base, which Kisner does not have, so that's a plus for Yadi. 5 punch outs. So that's, if you're not keeping track, the slash line for Yadi, 208 is the batting average. 208 is the on-base percentage, as he has yet to draw a walk or get on via air. Slugging at 229 and OPS of 438 and an OPS plus of 32. I don't want to get too critical. I don't want to get too negative because I love Yadi and he deserves the biggest of farewell tours any catcher in this generation can get. But those numbers aren't good. And I don't think that Yadi thinks that. I don't think anybody, those numbers just plain and simple are not good. Andrew Knizner in 12 games, 33 at-bats. He's 9 for 33. That's a 273 batting average. He's got 2 doubles, a home run. He was robbed of a home run yesterday, just for the record. He's driven in 6. He's walked 4 times. He has struck out 10 times. Strikes out a little bit more than Yadi does. So 273 the average, 351 the on-base, 424 the slugging, 776 the OPS, an OPS plus of 134. The average for OPS plus is 100. Molina well below that at 32. Kisner significantly above that at 134. If you're taking a blind poll, just throwing these numbers up there, I don't think there's a person in the world in a blind poll that picks Yadier Molina's numbers. So it's time to start seriously considering the question, should Andrew Knizner be getting more playing time? And he already has been getting more playing time relative to his first couple years in the major leagues. And I'm not saying Molina, there definitely is an argument to say that Molina should only start with Adam Wainwright just because it's Yadi, it's Wainwright, they're on the same, all this stuff. But you have to start Molina more than once a day or once every 5 days to just keep him fresh, keep him sharp. But do you have to start him 3 out of 5? Maybe start him 2 out of 5 in terms of turns through the rotation. Matz and Kisner seem to work really well together. And I'll say this too. The reasoning that I've used and that a lot of people have used for keeping Molina A on the roster and B in the lineup is the ability to handle a pitching staff, right? Maybe Kisner doesn't have that yet. Maybe whoever, I get it. However, there was a story yesterday about his start with Steven Matz yesterday about how he handled Steven Matz and was able to navigate through a tough first inning, visiting Matz in the first inning, settling him down after a couple long at-bats, not letting flares become a fire, in their words, showed us some maturity and an ability to handle the pitching staff. At minimum, being able to handle Steven Matz. So I think Kisner has matured enough to earn more playing time. On a large number of other rosters, Kisner is your full-time catcher. Not everyone. I'm not saying that, but because again, it's not like those numbers are Hall of Fame or All-Star worthy, but still 273 out of a catcher, 424 slugging out of a catcher, 776 OPS, 134 OPS plus. That's not terrible. That's above average numbers for the most part. And sometimes these stats can be coincidental, and I recognize that, but I think it's still worth at least mentioning. When Andrew Knizner starts, including yesterday, the Cardinals are 7-2. When Andrew Knizner does not start, the Cardinals are 6-7. 7 plus 6 is 13 for 13 wins. 2 plus 7 is 9 for 9 losses. Could it be nothing? Could it be something? My opinion, again, it's hard to take away the intangible aspect that Molina does bring. And he deserves a grand farewell tour for all he's done for this team, for this franchise, for this city, for other teammates. Totally understand that. But in terms of a baseball competitive nature, competitive aspect, Molina's still competitive. Competitive aspect, Andrew Knizner's numbers are just better. And he deserves more playing time, in my opinion. I love Yadier Molina. I always will. But objectively, the numbers point to Kisner. They just do. He has shown, he has proven that he is ready to hit at the major league level. Let me know what you think. I'm sure this will start a comment war somewhere. Let me know what you think. Andrew Kisner versus Yadier Molina. Do you think Kisner should get more playing time? Do you think it's fine the way it is? What do you think? Because the Cardinals also have Ivan Herrera coming up in the minor leagues, top catching prospect as well, that could be competing with Kisner next year as well. So Kisner just hasn't seemed to get a fair shake from the Cardinals really ever. But we'll see what happens. Molina, like I said, getting the start tonight with Dakota Hudson on the bump. With Adam Wainwright on the bump tomorrow, you're almost guaranteed to see Molina start tomorrow, even though it is a day game after a night game. I would be shocked if Molina is not in the lineup tomorrow. But we'll likely not see him on Thursday, would be my guess, with Miles Michaelis going on the bump. So let me know your thoughts on Kisner versus Molina. This is a conversation we've really been having for 2 years. And I think it's finally time to come to fruition with the fact that it might be time to have Yadi take a really decreased role, even more than maybe what we expected, because Kisner is ready. So thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen of the day. Be sure to make Locked On MLB your next listen with our pal Sully, as he brings you his unique perspective on the majors, both past and present. Tomorrow I'll be talking about today's game as well as other themes for the Cardinals. TBD on if it'll be before the game or after the game. Some scheduling issues on my part, or scheduling, not issues, just scheduling things to figure it out on my part. So be sure to follow me on Twitter at LJ Fastball. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at LO_Cardinals for all your updates, and email the show anytime. LockedOnCards@gmail.com. We're really close to 1,000 subscribers. We're over 950 on YouTube. So please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Be notified when my shows go live with clicking the bell as well. So until I talk to you guys tomorrow, be sure to stay safe, stay well, and have a fantastic rest of your day.